equal participation of women and men in the churches. So, my question is, how is it possible without the support of the church to see all these people in good positions? So, another thing I would like to highlight is women who are typically sidelined in their homes and societies are accepted and empowered by the church to be leaders and to participate with more freedom and influence. So they can be empowered and they can be leaders with the support of the church. Therefore, church is an agent of women empowerment. And another thing should be noted, church today is encouraging and empowering not only women but also other gender minorities, the transgenders. There are also some transgender pastors, theologians, and evangelists. For instance, Esther Bharati is a theologian, first transgender pastor appointed by Evangelical Church of India. And Anjali Evangelist in Andhra Pradesh is also first transgender uh, um, evangelist. So that likewise, many women and other gender minorities are accepted who are unaccepted by their own homes, families, but they were accepted by the church and empowered by the church. So another thing I would like to ask is, how can we say church is not an agent of women empowerment? Though there were some issues in the past with regard to gender disparities, which is actually a cultural issue that crept into the church. But today, church realized and trying to do better for the empowerment of women. So therefore, we need to acknowledge what church is doing for the betterment of women instead of arguing. So in some cases, women have more privileges than men. So somewhere men are also discriminated. So there are two, three questions I have already raised. So we would like to hear from the opposition party. So thank you.
Thank you. The team for church is an agent of women empowerment. And having said there is equal participation in the church, and church is the agent of empowering women, and there is more freedom and influence for the women in the church. And he has questioned, how can the church be not an agent of women empowerment? Having said that church gives more freedom and influence to women to exercise their abilities and talents, and they give more participation to the women, what would the against party or the against team would say? Church is not an agent of women empowerment. I invite the leader to speak against. Satya, Ms. Satya is the leader of the against team.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I thank for this privilege to talk about women and the empowerment. Wishing a happy International Women's Day to every woman in the world. It is always beautiful to talk about women, and it is always terrifying to talk about women empowerment. I stand here to state that the church is not the agent of women empowerment. Since the debate is about women empowerment, keeping the church at the center, let me begin my argument with the genesis of the church. The Christian tradition cherishes the memories of the role and status of early church fathers in promoting the Christianity to a next level. In fact, today's church tradition feels proud about carrying such history. The church has always been recognized with the early church fathers and has recognized only their roles and contribution. But why there is no early church mothers, and why the history does not have any mention about the early church mothers? Where is the place for women in the early church as leaders and co-workers? It was these church fathers who spoke very evil things about women and thus discriminated women. When it comes to the writings of the New Testament books, along with the writings of the men apostles, women also involved in writing the life history of Jesus. For example, the Gospel of Mary, the mother of Jesus herself. Why was it not canonized? And why was it rejected by the early church leaders as an unauthentic records? Although it was written by Mary, the mother of Jesus herself, only the authorship of men was acceptable. And why not women? Where was the balance in the church? If the church is really meant for women empowerment, it could have really considered and embraced the writings of women and the role of women in the church. The history of church itself carries the evidence that the church is not the agent of women empowerment. Women were empowered only by movements outside the church, like Jesus' movement and monastic movement and Wesleyan revivals. But women were not empowered by the institutionalized church. The church has always neglected, the church has always marginalized women until this day. The Reformation too empowered women only in the domestic circles. Women were seen as godly wives and mothers. Reformation did not empower women in the church. It is true, as Elizabeth Ferranza said, the Christian marginality of women has its roots in the patriarchal beginnings of the church and in the androcentrism of the Christian revelation. It is a fact that there would have not been any women's movement if the church had and the wrong interpretation of the Bible had not abused them. In the present day churches, the role and status of women is still under subjugation. It is somewhat easy for women to become leaders of the nation than becoming the leader in the church. Even though Christianity was there in India from the first century itself, it took a long time to ordain a woman and consecrate a woman as bishop. Today we witness many women in the governing field possessing a higher or an important position as collectors, as IPS, as MLAs, as chief ministers, as prime minister, and president of nation itself is a woman. In many secular fields, women are empowered to possess equal position with men. So comparatively, it is easier for women to take part in leadership in other fields than the church. The hierarchical and patriarchal structure of the church is still dominant and afraid to give power to women and to give an equal status to women. I would like to ask my opponents, who is speaking for the motion stating that the church is agent of women empowerment, whether they really understand the very meaning of empowerment. Empowerment actually means giving equal power to that of a man. Is there such equality of empowering in the church today? Empowering is not about giving a small part in the power structure and making her to assist you in the church. Rather, it is about giving an equal position that of a man in the church. There is no equal ratio of leadership priorities given to women. The ratio of pastors, the ratio of bishop is not equal. When the church itself lacks prioritizing women leadership, how do you think it is an agent of empowerment? Therefore, I would really suggest my opponents to first of all understand the very meaning of empowerment and what sort of empowerment is taking place in the church today. When the church itself needs liberation from its power structure, how do you think that it can be an agent of empowerment? Where do we stand as faith community? Where do we stand as church to empower women? Now, women empowerment has become a matter beyond the realm of church. So here I stand to strongly assert that church is not the agent of women empowerment. Thank you.
Thank you. So far we have heard from the two sides the introductory part. Now we are going to enter into the original debate where we will strictly follow 3 minutes for each one. Time will be maintained, and if anyone crosses beyond time, there will be a minus mark. So time, yeah, So I'll be knocking like this. Okay? Right. So now we'll move on to the serious part of this debate. Now time goes to 4.
Good afternoon, everyone. As we are talking about the agent of church as an agent of woman empowerment, church is giving empowerment to the woman because God has entered covenant with both men and women. It clearly says in Deuteronomy chapter 29 verses 1 to 11. You can check it. Deuteronomy chapter 29 verses 1 to 11. It's clearly saying that God has entered the covenant with both men and women. But in that, we can be able to say that God is giving equal opportunity to the men and women. Women were to be present for the public reading of the Torah. In olden days, where we have Torah law, in Deuteronomy chapter 31, verses 9 to 13, it clearly speaks about the Torah, in that every woman and men were present, and woman is having the right to listen to that Torah. In 2nd and 3rd century, the church ordained women deacons along with the male deacons. So the significance was given to the women in the past centuries. So it is necessary in the present context, God never showed any gender discrimination. Then who are we to negate and degrade women from the church? God empowered the woman. All the gospel writers agree that women were the first to hear and experience first hand of the resurrection message. We can be able to know that Mary, the person in the gospels, we can be able to know that Mary had first known about the resurrection. And in everything, in the entire Bible, if we check that, woman is having a major role. We can be able to know that, like, so church is giving a biggest empowerment to the woman. In the Greco-Roman context, woman is a subordinate to men. But Jesus made a revolutionary. When Jesus came to this world, he made a revolutionary for that. He made that woman is equal and woman can't be able to degrade in front of others. As we earlier, one statement has made that in history there is no at all having any evidence for deacons or priests or any, but I will say one evidence. The early church recognized the ministry of the women as deacons, priests, bishops, like that. As an example, we can be able to say that in Andhra Pradesh, Donalka Diocese, Bishop Azaria introduced the ordination of deacons in 1933. Miss Carol Graham was the first deacon in that diocese. He also introduced a new program of women leadership in villages by detecting women as church leaders. We can be able to understand like that. In that, we can be able to know that in history, it is clearly states that woman is having major role in churches. So we can be able to say that church is supporting very much women in front of the society. Church is supporting. And we can take our college itself. College is supporting every girls. Very muchly we can be able to know. So church is supporting them. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Aksha, for quoting from biblical perspective and how Jesus' attitude towards women, and you have related with present context. And so what is the question that they are going to ask from against?
Women ought to be silent in the church. They are not permitted to speak, but must be in submission, as the law says. These verses are said in 1 Corinthians chapter 14, 34. Yes. Hello, everyone. This is Godwin, and today I'm going to stand here to present my view in favor of topic. Church is not an agent of women empowerment. My dear friend Aksha told that Deuteronomy clearly says that God giving equal opportunity. It is what's said in the Torah. But my question is that whether you belong to the congregation of IPC Church, whether your congregation accept the women's ordination, or they're allowing to the women to preach in the churches. So, my dear sir, please come and sit in our side and speak. Church is not an agent of women empowerment. Yeah, my reason is that, my dear friends, the interpretation of the Bible made many churches, not only the IPC church, but also the Roman Catholic, the South Baptist, and the Marthomas, the Orthodox churches, still they do not allow the women ordination or women to lead the congregation. The Bible says in verse 1 Corinthians chapter 14:34 is all about Paul instructed to the Corinthians church, and not for the universal teaching. It is for the specific situation, for the specific culture. The same Paul also said in Romans chapter 16, the prominent role of the women in the church, and women played a deacon roles in those days. In early church, the Apollos like Priscilla, Aquila, Lydia, they did their teaching and leading the peoples in Christ with Paul. But that is not a matter. But people forgot these things of Paul's teaching, and still they cannot accept the woman into the altar, because of they think that man is only holy and man can only enter the altar due to the old tradition ideas and culture and religious concept. My dear Aksha told that the college is supporting. Yeah, I tell the college is supporting, but still we speak about the women freedom, empowerment, ideology, theology. But we can see that for this program arrangement, our stage declaration, the ideology, the concept, these were constructed by our men. So, Aksha, I want to tell you that this is the current scenario. And finally, concluding by telling that, yes, the wrong interpretation of the Bible and the male dominance in the culture and tradition corrupted the church. I repeat, the wrong interpretation of the Bible and the male dominance in the culture and tradition corrupted the church, and church became against the woman empowerment. And church is still, the women are suffering a lot physically, mentally, to express their ideology and work freedomly in the church. I want to tell one thing that when I know I was became very shocked and surprised that Gurukul has never rejected any female candidates to study theology in our college and support many women theologians. I really feel proud of this. Now I want all of you to remind that church is not an agent of women empowerment. All praise to Almighty. Thank you.
Okay. I think it is getting heated up. Okay, the debate. I said God giving equal opportunity, and the church is not accepting the women giving ordination and allowing the women to preach. Okay, and he questioned Aksha, saying that whether her church is accepting her. And he also says that the culture, man culture is not thinking that man only is holy and they can only enter the altar. Okay. And he ended with a positive note, saying that the college is supporting women and encouraging women to study theology, and we never reject any women candidate. Okay, so that is itself empowerment. Okay, so having said this, what would the for team say to the against team?
Thank you, judges, for the opportunity. Thank you, friends, for being here. Thank you. Actually, you are not eligible to sit there, okay, you two people, because you have given me so many points. No, church is the agent of, no, for empowering the women. I start from Godwin's point, the last point, as you said that theological community, our colleges never rejected women candidates. Yes, theological college is the establishment of the church. Okay, so you should know that before criticizing, one's institution of the church, you should know that. And then you said that IPC churches are not allowing preachers, women preachers. But you can go through the history. They are having women preachers. So kindly take care of that. So I will come to the leader's point from that said against side. She said that no, women's works are not being acknowledged. Kindly read Romans chapter 16. There no one full chapter as given for women. Okay, there you can you never see any of the chapters only for men. Well, there are 29 women's name are now included and their works were being acknowledged. And you said that church fathers, we are telling only church fathers. You should know the meaning of the church first, right? The word term church is coming from the root word ecclesia. The word ecclesia is denoting the feminine, right? Feminine noun, because you know that. So church itself denoting that it is belong to she. So you are the church. You are the church. Then if you are denying that we are not part of the church, then you are denying yourself and your leadership. So you should be the role model for others. And you said that Mary's work was denied, and it is not mentioned in the Bible. But she's the powerful leader in the church, right? In the early church, she was the one who saved all the disciples and the early Christians when they were facing persecution. So kindly take all these things in your mind and then come here and to talk. And then the other thing is, we were talking about the women ordination and all. Now we are having a women bishop in CSI, right? Can't deny that fact. And now we are having our UG dean as women as our UG dean, right? So yeah, even in upcoming days we can give doctoral dean or PG dean. We are willing to give, no worries for that. Okay, so we are ready to give, and if they offer principalship also, we are ready to give. Church is not ready to deny any of their rights. So it is. And then I think you might have attended the chapel in today morning. There the preacher he said that under the Senate of Serampur, even boys we should have a gap to do our master studies, our doctoral studies. But for women, we are with you. We are helping you to come up. We are ready to give the leadership of you. Okay, we are ready to give the leadership to you. So kindly be here, don't be there, okay? Because we are allowing you, we the church encouraged you to study theology, okay? Not we means not only me, we all, because we are the body of Christ. So we are encouraged by the church to be here, and church is kind enough to support you and kind enough to making you as the leader of the church. Thank you so much.
Okay. Mary was a powerful leader in the church. And there are women bishop, women UG dean. The college has given importance to women. And the four group said, the church will not deny any of the rights to the women. So women are given all the rights and they are empowered to show forth their talents in the church and in other places in the society. Having said that, what would the against team say to the for team? That church gives all the rights. So I invite the against team to speak.
Good morning, everyone. Good evening, everyone. My little sister said that the Bible and God clearly says everything. But here, what the problem is, the church clearly misunderstood what God said. That's why we are here and debating. Jesus Christ have more importance to women than his disciples. Jesus Christ always revealed himself to women first. The birth of Jesus Christ was first announced to Mary. Jesus Christ first revealed himself as the Messiah to a Samaritan woman. Mary Magdalene was the first person to see him after the resurrection. They are the first missionaries. But now, churches are trapped in the name of traditional and culture. Most of churches first teach the women that women should be silent in church and other place too, and they should always be under the control of men. If any woman speaks against her husband or against his family, the family complains about her to the church pastor or PC member. Then churches will say that women should not raise their voice against men. If he makes mistake, we should pray for him. These are teaching from most of churches. Women are dedicated to Sunday school service alone and men for leadership. Even though 70% of worshippers are women, but they can't reach 10% of leadership. In most churches, women are used for fundraising, Sunday school service, youth service, cooking, and cleaning. They are not even allowed to sit on bill counter. We are the people of Reformation. Martin Luther proclaimed the priesthood of all believers. Even in those patriarchal times, he strongly believed that investing in women's education would for the Reformation. So he gave women basic education and biblical training to make them be educated to their families. But now, even after women's advancement in secular fields, and many are top executives, but women becoming a bishop, 99% impossible. And women are becoming a church council member has already been forgotten. In the fight for the position based on parties, caste, manpower, women have no chance. Finally, we need to understand crown is permanent, not the heads. Here the crown leadership is permanent, not leaders. Who do you talk about? Who are you give that leadership? We are ready to take leadership. As the theologian, we know meaning of church, not a congregation. But I do believe that one day the church will become the agent of women. That will be the day the rain comes on earth. Thank you for your opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for mentioning that lack of representation of women, and still some churches follow traditional gender role. Now, I give time for the FAR team to respond. Zinat Zuna.
Good afternoon, friends, respected judges, faculties, and my dear friends. Today I'm privileged that I'm standing here and sharing in this special occasion. And this is greetings to you from the Happy Women's Day. So, if I'm not wrong, we can see here all the beautiful ladies because of church is encouraging women. Because of that only all the ladies are here studying theology. And because Mrs. Elizabeth, she told that about leadership, women leadership. So we all are leaders here. And especially I want to add on things that Mr. Thomas, he said that we have our dean here and also we have women bishops. So last year we celebrated 30 years of women ordination, and we can see that in all over the world, churches are having women ordained pastors. And also I want to focus on church organization which is giving encouragement to women. If I say in the local level, we can see Stree Samaj, who all are in the committee member, all are women giving awareness to every woman in the remote areas. And if I say NCCI in the national level, it is working, it is having a women's desk. And they are working over 3 decades for women. And if I say WCC, World Council of Churches, they are also working for women candidates. And if I speak LWF, Lutheran World Federation, they all are encouraging women for study. They give scholarship. ZMEO, I am the sponsor student of that organization, and I'm also a women ordained pastor, and I'm the product of church. If church is not there, then women, I'm not be able to stand here in a special occasion, and I can make debate on it. And if I speak about many organizations in the remote areas, that is WIDA, that is Weaker Session Integration Development Association. They also work for women, lead project. They also work in the remote areas for women. If I speak about girls hostels, first time in my area, in my remote areas, they first time introduced this hostel for women, girl, children to study, lead project. Uh, Church also organize awareness program for women in the gender issues. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the church encourages women, and that's what the four team is arguing for. Church is an agent of women empowerment, and 30 years of women ordination has been celebrated, and women ordination encourages women, and there are lot of women in the committee, and they give encouragement to the women, and she was telling about the different organizations like WCC, LWF, and other organizations which are working for women empowerment. And she itself stands as a testimony that the church has ordained her and she is a product of the women. So she's trying to say that the church is an agent for the empowerment of women. What would the against people say for it?
Good afternoon, respected judges and worthy opponents. At the same time, faculty members and beautiful audiences who are present here. I, Samuel Aldin Shah, hereby standing against the motion, stating that church is not an agent of women empowerment. Are we aware of the term woman? Woo, because of men. That is the realities in our society. Even though the person who speak just now mentions that ordinations happens within in our world, but then I would like to mention on that in women's empowerment, what we can understand is we need 3 points that I would like to mention. The first one is learning. The second one is labor. The third one is leadership. In these 3, we can understand that learning, yes, previously we have heard about from France that even in our theological college, we understand that there are also girls or a woman, a lady among the men. But then if we take a ratio, then we don't need any other person to think about who are more in number, because in reality, in the real issues, we understand that women are very, very less. I'm so sad to say that. Moreover, Gandhiji says that education is all-round development. Meanwhile, the church doesn't make a future plan for Our Lady. That is why women are not inquire about studying theology from their respective places. For this, I would like to point out the facts and figures. We understand that in the statistic based on 2011, especially in India, the place where we are studying here and staying. Here we understand that Nagaland is the top 87.93 majority. And Mizoram is the second, 87.16 majority of Christianity. And the third is Meghalaya, 74.59. So in all those things, we can understand that the shape and the idea of how church empower women is very, very much lacking. Because I would like to give out my status where I stay in Mizoram. Here we see that even though the opponents are saying that ordinations has been mentioned for the women, but then in Mizoram, which is the second topmost in our country, has only one ordained minister among the women. Moreover, that is an honorary only. So what we can say is, it is very, very much lacking according to the population as well. So all those three distinctions that we have, the women, according to the church perspective, is very much lacking behind. So that is why we can say that the church is not an agent of women empowerment. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Samuel, for pointing out that women are still limited access to education, and pointing out that limitation is there to prove their ability to pursue meaningful career. Thank you very much. Now time to Ebenezer.
Good afternoon, friends. God is not a partial God. He created in His own image with equal qualities. Overall, all India, a part of religions, all religions, in Christianity, 7% of women are educated because of church. In CSI, there are so many programs like girl child programs, women empowerment. For to empower the women, because of church, Right Reverend Dr. Pushpalita, she elected as a bishop from Andhra Pradesh. First woman bishop in CSI because of church. What is church? Church means society. Society means church. In recently elections in Nagaland, February 27th, two women, they won in elections. It is a record in Nagaland because of church. Here we are seeing two women who are debating against the church. They are here studying, they are here because of church. They have forgotten that one. We are seeing highly scholarly theologians like Ribka ma'am, Mary Khan ma'am, Shansudan ma'am, etc. Why? Because of church. Church is still inactive. Thank you.
Thank you, Ebi, for pointing out that still church supports women in the church and in education field. Thank you for that. Very short and sweet support for church is the agent of women empowerment. Now, the last contenders for against is Suresh Koshla.
Good afternoon. Happy Women's Day to all the beautiful women. Dear friends, as the saying says, there is no where there is no smoke, no fire, there is no smoke. And the Bible speaks, it is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. So here my point is, why do we celebrate the International Women's Day? See the theme, digital all, and see the campaigning theme, embrace equity. Does it recalls us, is there something to be done? If I am not wrong, if God is not kept under the gender, just think I am a woman. I am chopped up with 35 pieces and laid exposed everywhere on the street. Where was the church who did not raise his voice to save me, save the another women? I am saying about the Shraddha who was killed in Delhi. I am the woman who will be called last in the entire facility from the government to the church. Can I not say each church is my enemy or auntie? How can be a church the agent of a beautiful woman? I can say the identity of the church is feminine, but the uh, but the character is masculine or androcentric. The ideology is lost because of this. And I can say Christ died for the church. Church is the bride of Christ. But today, church is killing the bride itself. So how can be it will be the agent of women? I can say in this respect, the daily wages according to the government, that differs according to men and women. Where is the church to raise voice to equal wages to the men and women? Is it not lacking? Is it not true? And here I stand as a woman. I am praxeologically speaking. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Suresh Koshal, for mentioning that still in the churches, most of the churches, male domination is still there, and still there is gender discrimination, and there are lack of support for women in the churches, pointing out very clearly against women, okay, against church, against women empowerment. Thank you. Yes, all the contestants were to the point with the given time period. As much as you could able to cover, you covered to the point. Coming to demerits, or you can say against the church. Still there are, till today, there are limited leadership roles is there, and even still some of the churches follows traditional gender roles in a form of expectations that women prioritize their family responsibilities. Still some churches expecting that women, especially made for family responsibilities over career advancement. And also there are still churches limited access to education, though there are women are very clever. Still some churches expecting not to send women for theological studies, and there are churches still give more emphasis on obedience, to cover their head in the church during communion or inside the church. Still there are in the ministry women face stigmatization of sexuality, still there, and limited roles for women in leadership. Still gender-based discrimination is more in the church. And coming to for the church, again there are points that we have covered, that still women helps the spiritual growth of the church through some of the biblical references that you all have quoted, and still there are community support is there through different organizations that also you have mentioned, and still There are educational opportunities for women, both secular as well as in theological field. So I appreciate both the side. Now give us little time to judge us the points that clarity.
Okay, we'll give you. Now you all want to conclude? Both the leaders would like to conclude. After that, we will tell our, okay? So who would like the, okay, so the against team would come and conclude the things that team has told, and you can take your time now.
So we had a very fruitful discussion and debate. So from what we have spoken, I would like to just give a precise argument. So it is proven evidently that throughout the ages until today, inequality, oppression, neglection, everything is present. And by saying, from my opposite side, by saying the number of the leadership position that women are having, you yourself are agreeing that women are silenced and there is no equality. And it took almost 2000 years for women to be included in the leadership position and participation in the church. So as one of the members said, it is written in the Bible that God has entered in covenant with men and women. But where it is in the church, it is not extended till the church. It is only in the scripture. The wrong interpretations has corrupted the church and misguided the church for many years. And as one of the opponents said, the term ecclesia itself is a feminine term. But where is the role of women in equal position? If you say ecclesia is a woman, doesn't mean that you are including women in everything. So you don't, first of all, understand the topic itself. And then we're not exactly fighting on the equality of men and women generally, but we are fighting for the equality of men and women inside the church. The women who are all seated here, not exactly sent by the church or empowered by the church, but by the call and commitment towards serving the Lord. I myself is a witness for that. I am not encouraged or empowered to work or to come to theological college. I came out of my own interest and the call that I have received. In the church, still the role of women is in minority level. We have to pick up and talk. So only when there is equality, there is empowerment. So here I conclude saying, let us envision our minds to an inclusive ecclesia where the empowering prevails, and let us move from the powerlessness to powerful actions. Let us keep ourselves onwards and towards empowering women and envisioning equality in the church and society. Thank you.
The fourth team.
As I said in the beginning itself, though church is said to be patriarchal, but its role in empowering women cannot be denied. But the opposition team leader, the beginning, she said, church is not doing anything for women in terms of leadership. However, we should acknowledge what church is doing today, especially in Tamil Nadu, nearly 35% of women are pastors, and in Bangalore, 50% of women are said to be in ministry. So like that, so many things, not so many, but things are changing with respect to women's empowerment. And I would like to highlight one thing here, what Sister Elizabeth said. She said, who are you to give us this power or ordination? So we will take such a way. She said, I think the concept of women empowerment is not necessary because they are powerful, so they can empower themselves. So having said that, I would like to conclude by saying a few things. What is church? Church is not an organization, it is an organism where We all are equal. And church is not an isolated island. We are the church. Therefore, we men and women together constitute the church. Therefore, men and women should complement rather to competing each other. So by saying this, I would like to request all women to be patient and see things happening better in the future. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, both the teams, for very nicely articulating the topic, the debate topic, and bringing out your arguments very clearly, very precise, and very meticulously. You have done your work. Thank you so much, both the teams. And actually, we didn't know how to judge both of you because both of the teams are good. Okay. But anyway, we have to give one team a winning team. Church, the fourth topic is church is an agent of women empowerment, and against is church is not an agent of women empowerment. Already one of our judges have told his viewpoints. I would like to, after discussing with him, I would like to say how we are judging the teams based on four things. First is clarity. Second is how much of the resources that you have brought in. Time management, okay? And then the last column that we have given is the arguments. How well you have argued and taken up the questions that either of the teams have posed to you all. So, having come to a conclusion, we say that women, the church, is not an agent of women empowerment. And why do I say this? The church encourages women, the church ordains women, but the church does everything that the women can come up in the society. But even in the ordination, the church doesn't give women a separate administration of the church. They are under the chairman, and they are not given that much freedom to show forth their talents in the church. We are not saying that the church is not empowering women, but we say that though they encourage and though they empower women, still women have to come through a long way so that they attain that day. That's what Elizabeth said. That day will come on the earth where women will be truly exercising their freedom, truly exercising their leadership, truly exercising their talents in the church and through the church. It is not that women are not given importance. There are women pastors. Everybody is there. Women have achieved a lot, but still there are discriminations. There is gender discrimination, and all other things are there practiced in the church. So now I would like to tell the winners and the runners. The winning team would be church is not an agent of women empowerment.
So this part is very difficult. So as a man, I cannot judge. Yeah? So as a woman, she has judged. Right.
that's not, I'm not, because I'm a woman, I'm not judging like that, but that is what is the truth. And the church has to go a long way in this. The participants who have done good in speaking from the fourth team is, first, there are prizes for all these things. And after giving the team prize, there are individual prizes. And for that, we have selected the team from the team, the members. First, T. Raju. Second, Aksha. Third, Thomas Edison from the fourth team. There are prizes for the runners-up, for individual runners-up also, and that goes to the against team. The first prize goes to Satya, second, Godwin, third, Elizabeth, and fourth, Samuel. So now I request our judge, or we'll call. The first prize goes to the individual, T. Raju. From the this team, in the team. From the against team, it is Satya. Okay, come, we'll go together.
Winning team goes to against.
The runners-up are the fourth team. Church is an agent for women empowerment. Thank you. You have done very well.
Thank you. Thank you all for your patience.
You can go.